Have you ever seen this man before? You might have come across some of these images online in passing. Images showing this heart-shaped mascot. We call him Heartman, but he has no official name yet. These images have been circulating the internet now for 5 years, and in that short time, they have been reposted all over social media, on almost every platform. Some find them cute, some find them unsettling, and some find them curious. Yet, as famous as this character is online, the origins or purpose of these images has remained completely unknown. What people don't know is that these images are some of the last remaining evidence of a lost media case that's been forgotten in time for more than 40 years. And for the past year, I, as well as many others that have been intrigued by these images, have been on a search for the origins of this unknown figure. No one seems to know where this character came from. This is the hunt for Heartman. I first stumbled upon Heartman by accident one day, while listening to music on SoundCloud. A random song popped up in my recommended list, featuring a Heartman picture as an art cover. The image instantly grabbed my attention. It looked both familiar and strange, sparking my curiosity enough to look it up, but to my surprise, I found nothing. I did, however, come across someone asking about a similar image in a Reddit post made on June 19th, 2022 on the Blame It on Jorge subreddit.
Can anybody tell me what's up with all the pictures of this weird heart creature that appeared in his latest video? It never comes up again in the video and it's driving me crazy. Is this another piece of lost media or something?
Just like me, they found themselves curious and intrigued by Heartman when they first encountered these images, but couldn't find any info about them online. Searches for Heartman, man in pink heart suit, or reverse image search yields nothing. This post was about a video that Jorge uploaded titled Lost Media Case Files Volume 4. In it, Jorge flashed these images at the very start without giving any context or extra information, before continuing on the video's topic like nothing had happened. This rediscovery of this post piqued my interest enough to send Jorge a message. Hey, I know you briefly featured this character in an old video of yours in the intro. I'm curious to know if you know anything about it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I found that from an old Reddit post. Let me see if I saved it. Yeah, that's all I know. Thought those photos would make for a cool intro to that video.
While the Redditor was right that it is a piece of lost media, turns out Jorge himself didn't really think twice about where the images came from, and just thought that they would make for a cool intro. Little did anyone know how deep this rabbit hole truly goes. Since that time, many discoveries have come to light, bringing us closer than ever to uncovering the mystery of the man in the pink heart suit. Okay, so as of the time I'm recording this, there are 9 known and verified images of Heartman that can be found scrambled all over the internet. Some of them are of him walking around the open streets, dancing at a local park, finding friends at a sushi restaurant, riding a subway, and entertaining a preschool. Like mentioned before, when reverse image searching any one of these 9 images, you find very little info about their origins. Just people re-uploading them online without knowing where they came from, and a lot of Tumblr reposts. If you trace these reposts back far enough, however, you eventually come across his name, Docpile. Docpile is an archivist. He runs an online archive fashion collection titled DocumentPile, an archiving side project. It's a large repository of personal scans taken from real magazines ranging from the late 60s up to the early 2000s. These magazines are mostly Japanese in origin, like High Fashion, Popeye, and Soyen magazine, as well as a bunch of scans from a variety of fashion runway shows. However, if you scroll down far enough, you eventually find Our Heartman, posted as a part of this online collection on February 8th, 2019. Its description reads, "Photos from my image dump for Mother Culture." The Mother Culture part is an embedded link that's clickable. This site, however, is long gone. Thankfully though, I still have a saved screen grab from last year that I took when it was still up, with all the images still saved. This Mother Culture website is an online art gallery. It features a bunch of scans from Docpile himself and also Heartman. Okay, so if Docpile scanned these images himself, then this is where the images came from, right? We've just discovered their origin. Well, it's not that simple. See, Docpile is simply an archivist. He buys old-fashioned magazines and takes scans of things he finds interesting. He bought some old magazines, found pictures of Heartman in them, and decided to scan them and upload them online. He was the reason why Heartman ever made it to the internet in the first place, but the origin source from where these photos came from, or even from which magazines these scans were taken, is still completely unknown. An effort was made to try and get in contact with Docpile to get him to aid us in the search, to which he replied, "Hi. So this series of photos were intended to be uncredited and remain confusing additions to the internet. A known concept, but part of this means I'm dedicated to not reveal much about these images aside from the image itself. Glad you enjoyed the photos though." That message was a year ago. Since then, we've sent more messages back and forth where he hinted at maybe trying to help in the future, but it has become quite obvious that Docpile just isn't interested in the search. He either doesn't have access to the original magazine anymore, doesn't know from which one he took these images from, or doesn't even want people to find these scans in the first place. Which is odd because if your whole page is about archiving fashion and history, why would you then go and gatekeep that same information for yourself, preventing others from accessing and preserving that history and artwork? But it doesn't really matter at the end, because we don't need to identify which magazine it is from, we can instead go straight to the source. Here, take a closer look. Peering deep enough into the images themselves, we can see a pattern. It's more obvious on some than others, but it's this moire-like pattern that's on top of the images. This is due to a printing process called a 4-color printing method, or CMYK printing. See, instead of using the more color-accurate spot color printing or Pantone, which is a lot more costly, many commercial printers opt for CMYK printing. CMYK combines 4 ink colors, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, to produce a wide range of colors, making it a versatile and cost-effective choice for high-volume printing. However, the trade-off is that it can sometimes result in less precise color matching, and also when viewed at a closer distance, can result in these dot-like patterns that we see here. Okay, so we already know that these images came from a magazine. What's new? But look deeper. Try to look beyond the pattern. Look at what's behind. Look at the images themselves. Notice the ghosting, the color bleed, the horizontal distortion, the motion blur, and the fact that each one of these images just so happened to fit perfectly in a 3:4 aspect ratio. These are notable signs of VHS. So where could this be from? Well, from the fact that this was mentioned on a notable magazine and the fact that Heartman seemed to be running all over the city at different locations, hints at this being part of a larger project. project that's most likely somehow related to fashion, since that's pretty much all the Docpile collects. Some of his scans even come from mainstream fashion events that do in fact come from videos, like this post here. Finally got around to digitizing my VHS of 11/20/2047 Spring 1998 runway show and BTS photos, all available for download here. I believe that just like this show was showcased on video and on print, that Heartman also has a video segment from where these images came from. During a lot of these shows, they usually have some sort of introduction that's meant to be crazy or over the top to accompany them. The Tokyo Recycling Project from 2000 to 01 by Masahiro Nakagawa and Lisa was about traveling to various cities, taking people's old clothes and reworking them into one-of-a-kind garments. The opening of that show had a Godzilla-like monster destroying Tokyo and causing a mess when a superhero, Recycling Man, shows up and saves the day. At first, I suspected that our Heartman could be a similar figure, a part of an opener for a fashion show perhaps. But other than this and a few other possible leads, we know absolutely nothing about Heartman, where the images were taken, when, or anything else. Finding ourselves at a standstill of information, it was time to put on our detective hats and deduce as much information from the 9 images as we could possibly get. Starting off with image dating. Currently, these images could really have been taken from any decade starting from the late 70s to even as late as the early 90s, as the only thing we are sure of is that they were taken by a camcorder of sorts. This is not good, because it gives us a time frame that is too long to do any worthwhile research. One of the first things thought up was to go after one of the easiest time tellers in the images: the vehicles. There are 3 vehicles overall across 2 images that are either clearly or somewhat visible. Knowing the exact make and year of these vehicles could give us at least a time frame to work off of, a starting date. If we spot a vehicle whose model and make we can clearly pinpoint, let's say a car that came out in 1983 for example, that at least gives us a limit that tells us none of these images can be any older than that date. Okay, the first one, the truck to the right, was quickly identified to be a Toyota Light Ace M10, easily identifiable with the vertical design around the front headlights. This design was mostly prevalent in the M10 line, which was produced from 1970 to 79. That doesn't give us much except a time limit of 1970. The second truck was identified as an Isuzu Elf. This line of trucks similarly begins in the early 70s, but we were able to narrow it down to either the 1979 or 1980 model, mainly due to this thick bit on top of the 2 headlights, which can't be seen in any other models before that. The third identifiable vehicle can be found in this image. This was by far the hardest to track down, as only the backside of the car is visible, and there are many cars from this era with very similar looks. This was found to be a 1976 Nissan Gloria 330 SGLE hardtop sedan. Very few images can be found online of this exact model, which is why it was harder to track. Okay, so now we have 3 vehicles that are all from the 70s, with the most recent and newest model being the blue Isuzu Elf, dating to 1979 to 1980, which could mean that this Heartman could be as old as 1979. These images are way older than we initially thought. With this knowledge, we started looking into the location. Within the 9 images, Heartman is seen at multiple different locations, but there are 3 images where Heartman can be seen at the exact same location. These 3. We were able to find exactly where this was, mainly due to this photo, the only photo with visible text in the scene. 2 large panels behind Heartman, one of which has some large visible text with a logo on top. This logo is from the Chochiku Company Limited, and this text reads Kabikuza. Chochiku is a Japanese entertainment conglomerate that manages and owns Kabukiza Theater, the famous Kabukiza Theater located in the Ginza area of Tokyo, a historical and cultural landmark, and one which is still active till this day with live performances. Now we have a set location of Ginza, Tokyo. Studying the rest of the sign, it reads, "Tickets currently on sale. The screening of the drama will begin on the 1st of August." These screenings usually begin at the end of the month, lasting 3 to 4 weeks, which means that these images were most likely taken in July of that year. Now that we have a date of a performance, we could technically look back at the archives of the Kabukiza website to see on which year there was a performance that began on August 1st. Sadly though, the website was lacking of this information, which prompted a member of the Discord, Zaft, to email Kabukiza Theater and ask them directly, and to our surprise, they actually responded, giving us 4 different dates and 4 different years. Seems like another dead end. With no more leads to follow, we had no other choice but to spread this across the globe, back to where it originated. Our thinking was to get this in front of as many Japanese people as possible and see if anyone recognizes, knows, or recalls anything about this Heartman. Most Japanese online boards like 2chan, 5chan, or Futuba have certain geo-blockers that stop people outside of Japan from posting. Using a VPN or even routing a Tor exit node to be Japanese can't get around this block. Zaft, the same person that emailed Kabukiza Theater, suggested I reach out to a Japanese YouTuber instead, named Tsubaru. I did, and Tsubaru accepted to help, posting a tweet about the mystery a few days after. Across these replies and comments, besides the jokes about Heartman, how it looks creepy and cute at the same time, and some awesome artwork from his community, someone picked up on something that we all failed to see. I think the original footage was taken in 1982. In the top right of the third photo, this appears to be the road in front of the Kabukiza Theater, and a banner behind it says BT. Isn't this most likely the SKD no Subete performance at the Kabukiza Theater in August of 1982? The opening day was August 1st. This was huge because now we finally have a concrete year. The photos are from 1982. Tsubaru then followed up with a full video about this mystery a week after, bringing even more attention to it from the Japanese side of the internet.
当時のフジテレビの深夜っぽいキャラですね。ただ、それだとさすがに情報が全くないというのも不思議な話。
写真すべてが盗撮みたいなアングルで怖い。
東映の不思議コメディシリーズとかに出てきそうななりですね。
キャラのデザインが海外っぽい気がします。日本のキャラだったらもっと目を可愛くするんじゃないでしょうか。そう考えると海外ミュージシャンの PV か何かかなと思いました。
たくさんのハートで可愛らしいようで、ただ目の穴が開いてるだけ。不思議なキャラクターですね。
Plenty of good observations and a few possible leads here worth looking into. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to thank everyone who's made it this far into the video. Every video I make is a passion project that takes a lot of time and effort to create. And so, I want to thank everyone who watches and supports my work, because this truly would not be possible without you. I also want to take a quick second to promote my socials. It's where you can stay connected with upcoming project, behind the scenes work, and stay in contact with me, as well as the channel's Patreon if you want to support us further and get access to more perks and exclusive content. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching. A week had passed since Tsubaru had uploaded his video, and no new leads had popped up yet, until something strange happened. While doing a routine image search checkup online to see if anything new had come up, something must have triggered in the Google algorithms because for the first time ever, 2 new images popped up. I couldn't believe it at first, but I was staring at a second Heartman. One link into an old blog from Japanese fashion model and musician Kiaru Pamu from 2011, a photo of her, a friend, and Heartman, with the description, "Everything is pink." The second image linked to a large Flickr public photo collection titled 35mm Film Photographers, with 1.2 million photos and 27,000 contributors. Hidden amongst a million images, we found our second Heartman. This image was from 2007, titled simply, Pink Heartman. How could we have missed this? There's two images within this one with a much higher quality, letting us take a closer look at our second Heartman. And I gotta say, as much as these two are different, the resemblance is also uncanny. The giant heart mask, the two hearts around the chest and back, the second pair of hearts around the waist, even down to the 3 sets of hearts on each leg and arm. I mean, besides the difference of the face holes / eye holes, the missing bug-like heart antennas, and the addition of a guitar, this is by far the closest looking thing to the original Heartman costume that we've ever found. If you look up Heartman costume or mascot, you usually get images like this. Very different idea from our two characters. They were so close that we seriously began thinking that these two had to be somehow linked. Maybe one inspired the other, or maybe they both came from the same original source, and both represent something else. It's just a little bit too close to swipe it off as just pure coincidence, right? The search quickly switched from looking for the original Heartman to this new Heartman. We had to follow this new lead to its conclusion just to make sure. We started off by tracing the location of these two images, quickly discovering that they were from Harajuku Station in Tokyo, which is a 20-minute drive from Ginza district where Heartman 1 was photographed, almost 25 years before these new images. Soon more images began popping up. Around this time, we began to think that maybe our Heartman is a predecessor, something that would develop over time into this. And since their general locations are pretty close, then maybe this is something local to the area, as some sort of Tokyo street mascot that's been in operation since the early 80s, revamped, reworked, and refined until we ended up with this. Eventually we found this picture. It's from 2009. In it, Heartman seems to be performing a song on a stage. The name of this upload is Design Festa 29-4. Design Festa is an international art event hosted every year in Tokyo. Think of it like a Japanese Comic-Con, but more focused on different forms of art. Sifting through videos from that Design Festa around that year, I found this. We also found an archived copy of the Design Festa site from that year with some more info on our performers. There he is. His page reads,
I love 優待日本お笑い寮に出展したんですが常の空気をつかめてませんでしたね。1はこの格好では数すぎて当面しちゃうので明けまで休業しときます。そろそろちゃんとお笑い芸人としてお笑い番組に出たいですよ。コスプレ系お笑いゴーレなんなとしてね。
His name is I Love Yuta. Searching for the term online, we were able to find this old blog and website that had information that helped us get a general idea of who our Heartman is. He seemed to put great care on spreading positivity and awareness about the state of the world, showing great care for animals and nature. His latest post from his website, dated to 2014, is him performing for children in schools. There was an email address that was posted. We tried sending an email asking if he had any information or knowledge about the original Heartman, but this email has long been discontinued. There was also an old video interview from 2008. In it, he says that he was mainly inspired by Doraemon and Anpan Man, but no mention of any previous Heartman. Okay, so what started off as a search for one thing uncovered something completely different. Something that seemed related, but actually had nothing to do with each other. A story about a simple man who took it upon himself to try and spread love, peace, and awareness for environmentalism through the streets of Tokyo, performing his songs along the way. And the search for Heartman 2 was just another dead end. But not for nothing, because we seemingly have just accidentally uncovered another internet legend that we just didn't know we were looking for. Well, I guess we're back exactly where we started, with many leads and many dead ends. I want to thank Tubro for his help. His community has been extremely useful, and because of them, the word has finally begun to spread about Heartman in Japan. Soon, it's just gonna be a matter of time before we finally find our elusive unknown mascot. As of now, we'll keep looking on our end. And if you're just as intrigued in who or where Heartman came from, you can join our research in cracking this internet mystery in our Discord. Until then, the question still stands. Who is Heartman? And I will see you very soon.
I love ゆうたです。私が初めて東京の街に巣を作家したのは2007年1月のことだった。表舞台に登場したのは2005年12月。悩みや後悔の多い1年でしたが、その経験を量に変え前に進んだ1年でもありました。背景では地球温暖化のため氷が溶け、白熊くんが苦しんでいます。このまま地球温暖化が進めば近い将来、白熊とI love 有体が絶滅してしまいます。どうしたら世界は平和になるのかな。誰かおいらに教えてくれ。とにかく愛と平和とみんなの幸福のために頑張ります。世界平和。